In the parable of the wedding feasts in Matthew 22, we see Jesus refer to the one to be bound feet and hands as Comrade. Where you see here the Devar has translated it Comrade, where if you look the word up, Strong's G2083, you see it's a masculine noun from hetairos, which all other translations have translated as friend. This is not correct. The Greek word that defines a friend here is philos, not hetairos. Okay, and the word hetairos in the definition here says comrade. I'll talk about this word here in a minute. But understand that hetairos is in the same Greek word family as the adjective heteros, which defines something that is different of an ulterior kind. Okay, others of a different kind. You see here in the definition it says other or another. However, the word other in Greek is from allos, referring to others of a similar kind, where the word heteros is something that is another of a different kind or ulterior. So the Devar here now also distinguishes between allos and heteros, which other translations do not do. So the point being is that heteros, the adjective describing things ulterior, different from others, like here in this parable here, or Luke 14, where we have one regent going to an ulterior regent who is Christ and the Antichrist, two of a different kind here, is in the same word family as comrade, okay, ulterior. Found here in the conclusion of the parable of the wedding feasts, where this one is bound feet and hands, plural, feet and hands, to be cast out into the outer darkness. Will not come into the wedding, basically. And then we find comrade, hetairos, two other times. And the word comrade, so one of the most common uses of comrade between enemies is basically a condescending mockery. And it's from what is called militant irony. So one might, use the term with a dismissive or ironic tone to insult their opponent. So clearly, comrade is the opponent of Christ here, who is Judas Iscariot, who kissed him. So the kissing of Jesus is basically hypocrisy, seen in conjunction with the designation of a comrade. Not a friend, would be a fake friend or a hypocritical, lying friend. So this is why it's important to understand the Greek words. When we're just translating this friend, it's not being interpreted correctly according to the context of who this is in the parable of the wedding invitations. Because as I talked about in my video regarding the three invitations, this one will not come into the wedding feasts at the conclusion of the third watch time. He is a representation, just like Judas Iscariot, of the cursed of Matthew 25:41. The connection of comrade and the binding of his feet and hands here points to Matthew 18:8, where Jesus said, "It is better to come into life as maimed and limping one than having 2 hands and 2 feet and be cast into the Aeonian fire." So comrade's feet and hands are being bound here. He has both his feet and hands being bound. And then he will be cast into the Aeonian fire, which we find in Matthew 25:41. Again, you having been cursed into the Aeonian fire, which Aeonian fire is the figure of the Gehenna judgment. Again, Matthew chapter 18, verse 8. 2 hands, 2 feet to be cast into the Aeonian fire, into the Gehenna of the fire. 4th watch time, where there is no blissful are those for a 4th watch time in relationship to the wedding feasts. Okay, so Comrade is representative of the cursed. No coming into the wedding. No blissful are those, but the woe. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. Comrade, concerning the Gehenna of the fire judgment here. This is a judgment. Matthew 5:22. It's the last liability. So it's the end of the road, just like in the parable of the wedding feasts. They will not come into the wedding feasts. They will not be slipped into Christ. Understand that the slippable in raiment of the wedding is still in the bride chamber back here. These are being perceived in the bride chamber, which is prior to entering the wedding. We have to be girded and ready to enter the wedding, which the slippable in raiment of the wedding is to slip into the Lord Jesus Christ, Romans 13:14, Galatians 3:27. For you, as many as were baptized into Christ you did slip in, which Comrade does not do.